Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our sixth episode of our office hours slash host a guest podcast. My name is Hannes Rudolph, and I will be your host. Let's start with some questions, or maybe we'll get some people here on stage. Someone wants to ask a question already. Okay, go for it. I invited you to stage. Okay, questions.
Hello.
Oh, well, that's so nice of you. Pretty face. Now I'm blushing. See? What's my role in the Roo team? I am the community manager. I joined Roo um, in January and joined officially in March. I was I guess you could say, moderator here on Reddit. And what I do is I interact with all of you and the development team. I do a little development, but not much. I test Roo extensively and help offer support. What are some of the best practices to prevent Roo from automatically switching modes? That's a great question. Let me think about that. Ah, what model are you using? Join, go ahead. Okay. Roo Features Roadmap. We're working on a features roadmap right now through our new issues first approach. What we're doing is people can create feature requests, new feature requests via um, our issues on GitHub. And when you do that, you make you put details about exactly what you want in that feature. It's not just a simple feature request like in our discussions on GitHub where you might say, "Oh, I want this feature." You actually deep dive into it. And we're also starting to do that with features that we want to see or that we've heard you guys talk about. And then we're going to utilize that as the feature, which will be coming up, or the features which would be coming up in new versions of Roo. So the roadmap is developing in terms of exactly what details are going to be implemented. Go ahead,
So
guest.
to follow up, Hannes, I'm running GPT 4.1. There's something within the tool definition, even if I disable mode switching, that prompts the LLM to attempt to call the mode switching tool. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to adjust the underlying code so each of those buttons has three states: on, off, and ask. So perhaps you had some
Well,
insight to share.
we are, I believe we have found something recently that influences how it switches and when it switches. So we are implementing um, a change that will improve that behavior naturally. And there, there's really sort of several ways to influence the Roo. One of them is to tie its hands, which can sometimes confuse it because if it knows that it has an ability, but it can't use it, that's different. It behaves differently than when you go, look, here's your ability and here's when to use it. And then you guide it, if that makes sense. And I think that the mechanism, the wording used to guide it right now is actually could be tweaked, and that's what we're working on for the moment. But if you I like this idea you've brought up. So if you want to create an issue, a feature request issue on our GitHub page, then we can totally open that discussion and see how that would look. And if it gets the green light, then either you can implement it, or if you're too busy, someone else can implement it, someone on our team or someone from the community. Once we sort of come up with a framework for a specific change.
All right, thank you.
Okay, let's see what else we have for questions. I'm going to get my little questions bot going. 1 second here. Okay, go ahead. Questions, bot. Does Roo follow Klein trends and intend to keep the innovation going alongside as well as individually? We, I don't know if you'd say we follow their trends. I think that for the most part, we've been first to implement for well most of the year. Uh, we do absolutely pull features over that make sense, um, and they do the same for us. So I guess you could say, yeah, we are innovating side by side them, and we don't have plans to diverge too aggressively in terms of um, intentionally being different. But we absolutely want to make a tool that works as best as possible, and we'll do whatever that takes. So we have excellent dialogue with the Klein team. They're really a great bunch of people, and um, I mean, yesterday we were discussing the gray screens issue. I guess both Rue and Klein have had some issues with gray screens recently, and so we were discussing how to tackle that. What did you do before joining Rue? What convinced you to join? What I did, oh my, 1 second here. I just need to enable my key for Open Router, which I have not. 1 second. Oh, silence, silence. What I did before joining Rue. I actually have my own small business. And in that small business, I did carpentry mostly. I did that for a number of years. Before that, I worked on medical equipment and a lot of technical aspects of it, repairing it, programming it, and such. And before that, I worked in a family business for 12 years. Live demos need to pray to the right demo god. Yes, you do. 100. Oh, our stream froze here. What's going on? Can you hear me now? Right now, Augment is killing the game with its context engine, says Birdman. What are your plans, if any, to bring a local open source alternative to Root other than Quadrant PR on Git? Our plans are to get the indexing, the code base, and for better context management working through our current PR, and then expanding on features related to this, outside of Quadrant, if that makes sense. But the overall mechanism of getting it to work in Rue, we are working on right now. Oh, Dan, welcome. Dan is actually the fellow who's working on the indexing project right now. Okay, any more questions? Was the bot made with Rue? Absolutely, the bot was made with Rue. I just um, didn't have it set up with a API key for Open Router right now. So let me make one. Bot 100 and okay. Codebase indexing would be nice. Yes, I actually was testing it out yesterday, and it worked quite nicely. Is Quadrant the best option? No, though I don't know what the best option is, to be honest. There are many options, and our goal is to make it as easy as possible for people to utilize various options that make sense for them. Specifically, if they're working in an enterprise environment versus a personal environment, whether they have um, what you call it, a local hosted version of Quadrant or any other solution, or an online one. What is the biggest project that I ever created with Rue? I'm not sure how to gauge exactly what that would be in terms of biggest. Um, I work on Roo with Roo. I'm working on a project for managing contributors, keeping track of who's contributing and making sure that PRs don't fall between the cracks. I've been working on that one for a few months now when I get time. We need more zero config MCPs. I think you're correct. That is one of the reasons that we're working on the RooCode marketplace, which is intended to really make it easy to set up MCPs. We're trying to steer away from the aspect where we ask Roo to install the MCP, because what we noticed is when it doesn't work, which let's say 1 out of 10 times, it will try to fix the MCP sometimes, which can be problematic when really it just didn't configure it correctly, or there was a problem with how it configured it. What is my most significant programming achievement? I don't know. I don't think I have that significant of a programming achievement. I guess I made a pull request once for Klein that didn't get accepted. It was the auto approve mechanism, and that is actually the same thing that Roo.vet, our parent company, well, the company we spun off from, that is the same feature that they made before me. I think technically it was about 23 days before me. And when I realized they had the same pull request, this person brought it to my attention. We ended up shutting mine down in favor of theirs. So that's the most significant achievement that I've had, in my opinion, being involved in that. I wrote my first MCP in Dart to allow searches of pub.dev, 2 hours, and Roo did 90% of the code. Yes, that is actually one really handy way to use Roo. Who originally came up with the idea to fork from Klein and become Roo? RooVet has in-house engineers, and they were working to um, solve some problems writing unit tests, I believe. And they really enjoyed using Klein, and they wanted to implement an auto approve mechanism so that they could have Klein work on writing the tests while the engineer works on writing more code, more of the program's main code. And they made this PR, and it ultimately became the fork that is Roo. I wish I had a mode to develop MCP. Roo gets crazy as if it should test with a test case, a script, or a calling MCP. That isn't a bad idea. If here, I'm going to put a link here to our GitHub issues page. Give me a second. We have this here. I'm going to actually share my screen. Let's get this going. Let's share my screen. Okay. Here we go. How's that? You guys can see it? Does using Roo in mono repo, large Codebase, make context bigger and waste our money? Roo's context is built each time you start a task. So the base context is the system prompt and some things like the environment, a listing of what files are in your code base. But the files themselves don't automatically go into context. Those go into context as needed, if that makes sense. What will happen is when you ask something, Roo, to do something, it will see the list of files and make the analysis to figure out which file to open and when, and then it will read it, and that will lead to going to another file and then ultimately planning what needs to be implemented. Okay, so on my screen here, we have issues. We have this new issue called a detailed feature proposal. And what this is you basically go through here and instead of just asking, hey, I want a button over here or over there, this is the way to detail what you want and then have an open discussion about it once we've created these. It seems many people are developing custom modes, but less people developing unique system prompts. Are the official Roo modes also developed to get better and better, or are they more fixed and nearly not touched? We are working on improving them regularly. Um, let's take a look here. Author and closed. Well, for example, yesterday we made a tweak. This was based off of somebody messaged. They opened an issue and they said that there was a spelling mistake right here. Said, and so we went to look at that spelling mistake and actually did quite a change to the new task tool in terms of the prompt. You'll see here we tweak it. So yes, we do regularly work on these types of things, and we're working on doing it a lot more regularly. Birdman merch, you want? We should have merch up in the next few weeks. We're just finishing sourcing. This here is a beta shirt. I got some of the samples, me and one other team member, and we're testing them out, seeing how we like them, sizes, quality, feel, and then we will be making them available, hopefully. So, yes, this is what I wanted to show you, our issues. That is the old school feature request, and here is the new school feature request. One of them is just sort of a wish. I would like this. This is a good idea. And one of them is, here is a detailed outline of what I want. But still, right now, there are no tweaked system prompts for specific modes, right? The mode automatically tweaks depending, or the system prompt automatically tweaks based on your system mode. So when you have MCP enabled or disabled, browser use enabled, disabled, whether the model can access browser use, things like this, it automatically changes. But I guess it not that much. Again, we're working to change how Roo handles the system prompt, whether it changes for various modes and how much, and whether it changes for various models and how much, because we do recognize that different models follow instructions differently. Okay, more questions. Let's throw Roo. What model should I test here? I'm going to throw up my, okay, let's create a new create new repo, podcast repo. Oh, questions. Will I get this set up? Any more questions, anybody? What is the highest priority for Roo right now? Well, let me just highest priority for Roo, we recently redefined our contributing. I think we did that yesterday. And we redefined our roadmap in there. So this is our most important priorities in terms of overall things. Overall, I don't know what the wording here. Reliability first. We really, really want to focus on making sure that Roo is bulletproof reliable. That's something that, I mean, I have it, it's very reliable in my system, but I want it to be reliable on different platforms, multi-platform reliability, dev container stuff. That's an area I think that we would really like to improve, because the ability to run multiple instances of Roo is more realistic when we can run it remotely. Then we are looking to streamline the UX, make it much more intuitive so that users take advantage of the various features, and don't get stuck when on something simple like terminal integration, which we've had troubles with, but I think we've done pretty good at dealing with those. And then we are looking to improve how Roo actually does its job using evals. So our top priorities in terms of actual features we're working on, Boomerang 2.0 is major for us, and we're thinking about it carefully. We're planning it. We're working on tweaks regularly, because I think that will change very much how we use Roo. Okay. Is the team actively working on bringing down the cost of API calls to OpenRouter, especially with big context, or is it not a priority or part of the plan? We're always thinking about this type of thing. We do want to be careful not to limit what Roo can do by making it too context skinny, but we also don't want to be wasteful. So yes, we are actively working on that. I've been getting good results with Claude 3.7 and Gemini 2.5 preview. Which other models work well? How local setups, how can local setups look? Any tip on what to use with lower costs? I could not tell you what local models work well, because as far as I understand, it's not really that easy to run local models well with Roo. The complex tool calling can often create things like loops or repeating characters, which can be frustrating. That being said, there is a channel we have which you can go and talk with other people who are actively experimenting with this. Yes, Boomerang 2.0 is planned. What about that? Boomerang 2.0 is, well, some of the obvious features will be things like grouping tasks so that your parent task and subtask are shown together and their costs are shown together. Here, let's get Matt on stage as well. Matt, if you're watching, I see you. I'm going to get a, okay, you can turn your camera on. I know you're pretty.
I think you might be confusing me with someone else.
Okay, here we go. This is Matt. I think some of you have met him before. He is our lead developer.
Yeah, sorry, I actually have to jump to a meeting in a few minutes too. So you won't be able to hang out that long. But yeah, with the boomerang stuff, I think there's a lot of work that we could definitely do there. I think in some ways we found it to be such a powerful change, like the idea that the agents can be orchestrators and managers of other agents. And at least for our own personal work that we're doing, whether it's like some sorts of migrations or upgrades or trying to write a lot of tests, that we felt like it was worth it to um, push this out, even though it's not fully polished. But that said, like we've been getting a lot of feedback, and there's a lot of consistent themes in there around. Um, yeah, I mean, there's so many things that are obvious, right? It's like the way that these different tasks work, the subtasks, like not being able to jump back and forth to the parent task, They don't really live alone if you like restart your editor or something. There's not a lot of differentiation in your task history, the communication between them. I think it's cool that the orchestrators can start tasks and end tasks, but it would also be interesting if they could give feedback on some of the things. They could check in while the task is running, even simpler things like accumulating the costs. Um, and yeah, I mean, sure. Sorry, there's names. The main thing we do is we argue about what the name should be. So I'm not really looking at the chat, but yeah, Hannes and
I
I had
guess,
a
yeah,
knockdown,
that's
drag down.
probably our
How
biggest thing is going to
boomerangy?
be what we call it. Um,
Yeah, that's where we spend all our time. That's why it's not better. But yeah, we'd love to get community input and feedback. I know Hannes, you've been collecting some of it as well. And yeah, we're hoping to continue making progress on improving it. We did do. There's one change coming the next release that I think came from the community. I think God of AI and Lix and some other people were talking about how to make it clearer to the orchestrator, like what the different modes do. So, spoiler alert, like we added a new field to the modes. It's optional to have them kind of introduce themselves a little bit and make it easier for the orchestrator to know when to use them. So just one of many things we can do better, but I don't know, kind of a personal goal that every week, every release, we're trying to do something to make the orchestration a little bit better and a little bit more mature. But the feedback is great on it, and I really appreciate it. Sorry, is that what
thank
y'all
you.
wanted me to talk about?
Yes, thank you for
Just
chiming in, Matt. I really do
yeah, no
appreciate
problem.
it. And sorry to interrupt you. I guess your meeting starts now. You got like 2 minutes, so get out of here. Okay. Um, and you guys have any more questions? Well, of course you have more questions. Let's see. So, why can I only mention a file at the start of a chat? So I have to customize that Roo can implement a custom feature to handle file mentions with. I don't know exactly what you mean, but if you, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that means. If you can clarify, I'd appreciate that. Would you be able to recommend a way to centralize the RooCode folder so that it can be utilized by all projects instead of having to manage them individually? Windows shortcuts do not work well for this purpose. Hmm. Are you talking about your modes specifically? Modes and well, I mean, here, if you look at my screen, they don't work with folders yet globally, but your modes, you can edit your global modes right here. And the same way that you can edit your global MCPs right here. They are all in JSON, and we are actively working to get that switched to a more readable format. I think YAML is what we're going after. Let's see. Oh, system links. There we go. Yes, I forgot about that. When auto deploy, Ivan? That's a good question. I think that that is something that we're thinking about how to do that, especially when it comes to enterprise. So stay tuned. We are working on that, but I can't give you a lot of details on it at this moment, as it is a work in progress. Is there other models that support computer use and prompt caching in RooCode, like Collab 3.7? There lots do prompt caching, but none do browser use right now. If you let them see the image, they can see it, but they don't click where you want them to click. So that will need work. It is not something that is our priority at this time because, well, we're trying to make RooCode actually code better, and the browser use is absolutely a neat feature, but it is not central to making RooCode better. Making RooCode code better, if that makes sense. But it isn't something we're ignoring. It's just not the thing we're working on this week. Though we are very open to community contributions to see the browser use abilities extend and improve. Yes, RooCode code better is our number one focus. Do you think RooCode mobile app or something similar will ever be a thing? I think that the idea of running an agent through a phone is awesome. And I would like to do that, but it isn't something we have on our roadmap yet. That being said, we didn't exist 6 months ago, so it's a pretty fast moving space. Okay, somebody, let's okay, I've got $97.54. What are we going to make? Let's go into orchestrator mode. Let's do something live. See if we can one-shot something. Any ideas? Give me your prompts. And more questions. There's 60 people in the audience here, and I am not getting very many questions. You guys just here for me to say um, like that? Has the root, okay, there we go. Here's the questions. Roo, make me a sandwich. No, that, thank you. Has the root team considered using .env, .envrc files like Aider does to do configuration instead of the variety of files it's currently using? No, we have not thought of that. But again, we have our issues where people can make a detailed feature request. Now, this isn't just a detailed feature request where you're looking to get it approved. This is where you can sort of put an idea together and we can have an active discussion about it back and forth. We can get devs to chime in. We can get community contributors. We can get users to chime in. So we really are looking to integrate this more into even Discord, creating a channel where people can easily, click over to the discussions and we can have really thorough discussions on various features and what people think of them and how to implement them. Okay, when you design the features, who is your target audience? A junior dev or an experienced developer who want to use cutting edge tech? I'll be honest, our focus is on both of those. That being said, our development of specific features is we're looking at really they're broken down into two groups. One is making RooCode more intuitive, which I think that works for experienced engineers and new people new to the code space. And then our other goal is really making Roo do its core function, coding, better. So, I mean, I don't think that we really think about how to one of those specific groups, but I would say that over time, we have focused more on the experienced developer, but with our more recent simplification of the Roo interface settings and such, we really are putting an effort towards changing how that works because we want Roo to be used by experienced developers, junior engineers, and vibe coders. What new features that are in progress right now are you looking forward to the most? Indexing, by far. That and Boomerang 2.0, but indexing is the one that I can taste already. Yesterday, I tested it out and I asked Roo to tell me something specific. I hooked it up to the RooCode data to the RooCode repo, and I asked it to give me something very specific, and it found it instantly. It was wonderful. So I'm really looking forward to figuring out how to integrate that into the regular Roo workflow. Any plan on making Roo configuration sync between computers? Yes, we are working on something to allow that through our enterprise platform, which is really just an idea right now, but we're working on it. Well, I mean, there's some stuff going on there, but we'll talk more about that in future podcasts. Okay. Let's give Roo a prompt. Somebody give me a prompt, please. Oh, don't worry. Our enterprise solutions are not going to be where they're not going to be RooCode itself in terms of here a two-tier system where the enterprise people get RooCode that works well and the the non-enterprise people get crap version of Roo. That's not how we're rolling this out. 100%, where we want to give access to everybody when it comes to the awesome features that Roo has. So don't worry, no two-tier. That's not what we're after, at least as far as our current roadmap is. Though who knows? Maybe we'll go crazy and become evil. That's always possible, right? Yes, I should. Okay, maybe I'll find a logo to put in there. Here, I'm going to do the bouncing logo again. Bouncing logo example. Okay, it turns out that Parallels doesn't like that. I can't drag over from Parallels? Really? Okay. It's a pretty general prompt. Let's see what happens. No, there is no raffle today. Okay. Regarding RooCode agent, should we specialize agent based on language? For example, rules. I'm looking for one-shot questions, stuff that's sort of easy for me to read aloud and answer. Dan, do you want to come on stage here?
What's up?
Hey, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I don't want to be alone here on stage. Does Roo voice work? It won't read my response. Roo voice? I have not used it recently. That's a good question. If you open a support ticket on GitHub, we will get it diagnosed right away, and if it is not working properly, we'll get that fixed ASAP. Roo has
I saw,
notifications, right? Right here. Where are they?
so I
I know
saw
that I
Bertman asking about Codebase indexing. He was asking about Quadrant, why
yes.
we're using Quadrant and not something more, I would say something that lets you create relations between the code itself. For now, this like the code-based indexing feature is really big. Like if you go see the PR, it's like 5,000 additions. So it's a really big feature that needs to be simple, in my opinion, at first, so we can polish it really well, and then we can focus on improving what it does. So right now, the results are pretty good. Hannes mentioned that the results were instant and uh, they were good. It found what he was looking for, but I know that we can improve the results. Add relations between different parts of the code. Uh, but for now, I'm just working on making it simple, that it's easy to test, easy to improve, and then we can focus on improving it. Are you not worried that building it on Quadrant first will hamstring you later? I made it. The feature is very modular, so you can switch out Quadrant for something else, and it's not going to affect. You just need to make sure your new class or your new vector storage or graph storage uh, searches the code base in the same way and returns the same result. So it isn't stuck on Quadrant only. It can be connected to something else in the future. And also for embeddings, right now we only support OpenAI for embeddings and Olama. So if you want to run a local model for embeddings, you can do that as well. But of course, in the future, we can add more providers for embedding. We are using.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you can. I don't want to take the.
No, I
all the
was just
time.
saying. Roo got confused by the SVG because the SVG's text, so it overwhelmed it. It included it in the context and tried to create a Boomerang task with it.
Are you using a custom tokenizer or just searching by string? If you mean the query itself, it's being if you set OpenAI to be your embedder, it will use OpenAI again to generate the vector for the query. That's what it's using. Or if you're using Olama, it will use the model you select on Olama to tokenize the query. If that's what you mean. And we use Gemini for embedding. I thought about adding Gemini, but I saw that the rate limits were really small. We can add that later, for sure, but not in this first PR that I'm working on. We basically need a Quadrant account if we enable code-based indexing. You can use the free Quadrant account if you want, or you can just run it locally. It doesn't matter. You can run Quadrant locally on Docker, and it's good.
I think that I need to make an issue to handle that. That SVG should not have completely broken my it should not have been included as text in the whatchamacallit, in the context.
I wonder how are we filtering that?
Probably
How
not.
do we know which ones are text and which ones are not?
Well, if it's an SVG, then it is text.
True.
Okay, proceed while running.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. He's asking if the Gemini one is limited. I don't know where exactly I saw the rate limits or what the rate limits are, but I remember seeing them and saying it's not worth for me. It's not worth my time to include this in this PR right now. I just want to make the base feature working, and then we can work on other embedding providers.
Could you please show us live the setup and usage of Quadrant local with MCP? I'm not sure what you mean. Right now, we're not the indexing feature's not yet ready for prime time, so I don't know if I could show you that. In terms of setting up Quadrant locally, I would just run it on Docker. Yes. Okay, so what should I add to this?
Make it a cube. Make it a 3D cube.
Make it a 3D cube. This is just a PNG now. Particles every time it bounces. Okay, I'm going to take that and
Bertman is asking if it's only OpenAI. No, you can use Olama, a local embedding model, if you want. But yeah, the feature is not ready yet. We're still solving some bugs here and there, but it works. Like we saw it yesterday, it does work, but we need to polish it so it's good to go. It doesn't cause any issues.
Okay. Candy Dog, I'll throw your prompt in next. Yeah, it's bouncing off the bottom of the screen. Okay, more questions, please. We've got 53 people here. I know that there's a lot of questions. Setting up a Quadrant local. I would just set up a, Docker. And then I'm not sure how the Quadrant MCP works. I've never used it. What is the right thing to do when Gemini starts messing up the tool usage? Okay, here, I'll show you something here. We have, yikes, why is it so bright? A section here on context poisoning. This section discusses what's happening there. When Gemini starts getting thrown off on context poisoning, you can sometimes bring it back through sort of coaxing it. But my general rule is that I'm using Orchestrator and I just end that task and prompt it, tell it to that one didn't work, try it again. And go from there, because once your context has been poisoned with those tool calls, they act like suggestions for future consideration. So even if you get it back on track, there's a decent chance that it's going to actually pull it right back. Hannes, is there some effort to make RooCode with security principles in mind? We are working on an enterprise solution. So security is paramount when it comes to enterprise. So yeah, that is something we are considering. Exactly what, I couldn't tell you about what aspects of security we're specifically working on. That's a little fast. It's very fast moving, and it's not nailed down yet. So I don't follow it on a day-to-day basis, but I can get back to you if you'd like. Okay, I need to get back to you. Where are the particles? How is a dev time balancing the velocity of adding new? The particles aren't where it bounced, but they're there. The velocity of adding features with the risk of growing a crippling amount of technical debt. We are, how do I answer this? In the last week, we have shifted to an issues first approach where issues and where issues are required before we make PRs, and where we review these issues on a regular basis. And we're doing this as a team to prevent just simply taking on PRs. Oh, there's a good PR, let's put it in there. And then we end up with a mountain of technical debt of really our spaghetti code base. And we don't want it to be that way. So we're actively working to implement solutions that really focus on keeping a clean code base. So I guess, what are we doing? We're just really throwing more time at it. We don't want to slow down our development process, but at the same time, we don't want technical debt that cripples us. So yeah, we are actively hiring people.
And to add to that, I think personally, having seen the RooCode code base for a long time, the technical debt has really gone down. From the days where we were just a client fork, the code was really messy back in the day. Right now, I can say the code is much better organized, and there's a lot of time being put on organizing the code, making it better. It's way easier now to add a feature to RooCode or fix something. It's so much better organized right now.
Oh, thank you for that. I sort of waffled on that question.
Yeah, those scary, 1,000-line files are disappearing little by little.
Yes, they are. Which was largely a community effort.
Hello.
Hello. What do you have for us today?
Did you one-shot this, Hannes?
Yes.
Nice.
Preview did it very
Just
quickly,
code or
actually.
Boomerang?
Boomerang.
That's nice.
And then I threw in. Yeah, it did it quite quick. Though it was bouncing below the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, that has happened
Are
with me.
are you guys using the new
Yes.
prompt that Terry was working on?
No, I'm just using the
Okay.
latest main.
Got it.
By the
So
way, I just opened the PR for the footgun prompt for Chris, and I also sent him my footgun prompt. So he's going to
perfect.
independently test it.
That would be excellent. Guys, what he's talking about is he's working on the system prompt, improving its structure and content to get better results. And we're seeing some excellent outcome. We're using evals to test it and make sure that it's solid, and it's something that hopefully over the next week we make some headway on implementing, because as far as I see it, it's making a significant impact with all models we've tested. So evals are finally starting to pay off.
And
I
and I
understand that Roo
think
is open source. Would it be bad if someone in the community, for example, worked on securing secrets? No, it wouldn't be bad at all. If you want to do that, what you do is you go here to our website, and oh, it's upside down. No, look at that. Go and create one of these. Go create an issue, and we'll be on our way. We're very interested in having the community involved, since we are for the community by the community. A template system, that's a good idea. Um, I really like that idea. It is not what we're actively working on. No, the system prompt is sort of mixed about in various files, but having it.
I think it's being worked on in the Roo marketplace.
Interesting. I'm
I
not
think
sure how
so.
we'd implement that through the Roo marketplace.
Via footgun, I think.
I don't want to use Footgun. Footgun is for experimenting.
No, I mean, it's
100% for
basically the same
experimenting.
thing if you know what you're doing.
Yes, and then we add more tools and it breaks, and then the 25 people using it are very vocal on Reddit, or the thousands of people using it are very vocal on Reddit that suddenly Roo is broken, and it turns out that their prompt was missing something because we
I would
changed
love to
how Roo
implement this
works.
now because I know how difficult your life is going to be after that.
Pardon?
I would love to implement this now
Oh
because I
my
know how
gosh,
difficult
no.
it's going to make your life.
Gosh, no. Please, no.
that's funny. And have the word client removed from the code? No, it's still in the code in some places. But they're
We're
working on removing it. Yeah.
when it makes sense. I mean, we
Yep.
don't hate Klein. They're awesome, so we appreciate them.
Yeah, but for example, if you have an error that says client, that is being changed, but in the code
Oh yeah,
itself,
right away.
it's not like a priority to rename every file or remove the word. It doesn't
Isn't
matter
that true?
really.
Okay, we have 4 or 5 minutes. Anybody have any more questions? Recommendation. That is a great idea, and
Dude, I hate this emoticon. This fucking mouse gets me every
hey,
time.
did that mouse confuse you?
Yeah, it does it every time.
Well, I don't know what it's doing here. We're in 3001. Can we predict Gemini's errors and make a rule for it not to happen before us? That is what we actively do. We work on predicting exactly how it's going to respond, and then we adjust our prompt accordingly. The biggest issue is that how it acts is different from week to week. So we're sort of chasing it. I mean, it's getting much better. Absolutely. And with input from users, we're able to narrow down what works and what doesn't, and where the issues are rearing up. Okie dokie. Final questions. Anybody? I will work on making a demo. I would really like to. I just haven't had time. So sorry about not having a better demo for this podcast. I don't think we have anything in your marketplace for changing how the system prompt is generated. In theory, yes, no, that is correct. We don't. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
not yet
I was
on
wrong.
the board. Yeah. We do not promote the use of footgun prompting as it is quite likely to break things. It's great for testing though. I noticed that Roo doesn't like to use my MCP except rarely. What am I doing wrong? When you implement an MCP, basically Roo now has access to that tool and that tool's description. That tool's description is a suggestion as to when to use it. It is good practice if you want an MCP to work in your to be used in your workflow that you actually have another you have custom rules that outline when it should be used and which tools should be used, because otherwise you're basically leaving it to the will of the the LLM to decide when to use it, which that's really dependent on your tool description. Also, another thing is, in my experience, getting your tool description nailed down can have a huge impact in not having to actually tell it when to use it, if that makes sense. Okay. Well, I'm going to get here on screen. Thank you, everybody, for all of your great questions. I really appreciate everybody joining, and I look forward to doing this again next week, where I will hopefully have a demo set up for you guys. Thank you. And once again, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly and interact as well on our Discord server, where we have a phenomenal community always ready to give you input and help you along. Have a great day.